never meet again, for I am reborn.
After the victory lap that was Arkham Knight, a game that was divisive at launch, but time has ultimately been kind to the Arkham trilogy's final chapter. Rocksteady really did earn the wait, and it was a long one. 5 years went by before the official reveal trailer, which didn't really go over so well, and I myself didn't really know how I felt about it, but in Rocksteady we trust. Developers earn this by dropping bangers, and Rocksteady were on a roll. As time passes, we see and learn more of the game, and the faith that people had in Rocksteady gets tested when this leaks online. I'm one of them.
I'm one of them.
I didn't think the game looked bad on a gameplay front, but I wasn't upset about the decision to delay. As release got closer, the hype did get to me. I was rewatching the Suicide Squad films, even the bad one.
So that's it? What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
And was getting back into my Arkham bag. Launch came, I actually got the game early, and truthfully, I had a lot of fun with it. This game isn't a clean-cut black and white case of bad video game, in my opinion. There is genuinely a lot of good here, but the good is shrouded in the stench of live service, to the point it actually takes away from what could have been. It's not ideal for me, but I at least wouldn't have minded or could ignore if it was just cosmetics and some optional end game stuff, but no, the very fabric of this game's narrative and its conclusion is crippled by the decision to make this a games as a service title, and a mid one at that. These cracks for me were ravines for gamers at large, which is why this game was such a commercial failure. But live service aside, the mission variety in this game starts to get quite repetitive, and the end game at launch was legit just 3 mission types on repeat. The final boss fight against Brainiac is just a Flash reskin, which again makes sense through the lens of live service, but if you're gonna milk this guy 13 times, that's just another reason why forcing it here was to the game's detriment. On top of all of that, the DLC characters they added were all middling, with the exception of Deathstroke, who came bundled with the news that they'll be ending all support for this game. Another live service success story. Just imagine how great this game could have been, the legacy it could have left simply had it been a single player, narrative focused experience. In fact, let's fix it. Here's everything I would have done differently to ensure the success of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. For starters, I would have cancelled it and made a Superman game instead, but assuming that's not an option, I would have done this. So the game is far from being all bad, and there are certain things I want to maintain, like the core combat for example. The balance of gunplay, melee and traversal all work perfectly. In fact, this game's loop, moment to moment, is genuinely a blast, and I do love how satisfying it feels to pull off a combination of super flashy combo moves, you know? Also, the game's got great velocity. The way that it has enemies spread out on different levels, it kind of forces you to utilize your traversal instead of just being in one static location. It all just works beautifully. Also, the general plot I would keep the same with some important changes. I do think the concept of a Suicide Squad game where you take on the Justice League is epic. It's a Mission Impossible type situation where the absurdity is the pull. You want to take on Superman and the Flash because you know it's such a daunting task. Obviously, it goes without saying, but the game's look, presentation and sound and everything on that side of things, quality-wise, is what you would expect from Rocksteady, which is to say, second to none. But that's pretty much it for things I would maintain. Now for changes, no live service. No one asked for it, no one wants it, and it wasn't even handled in a semi-decent way. Just no thank you. Also, no loot boxes, or any pointless constant shuffle of items and weapons. This isn't Diablo, this isn't Borderlands. No one wanted a looter shooter, no thank you. Just give us the base weapons and let us upgrade them as we progress through the game, via a skill tree or something to that effect. Nobody wants to constantly compare a new weapon to an old one to see which one has more green arrows and whatnot. It's a Suicide Squad game. Dead the 100 shotguns, one will do. And you can kill the Justice League as the title suggests, but only in their corrupted forms, which means, spoiler alert, Wonder Woman's death should be left ambiguous. Instead of her turning into dust and blowing away, just let her remain a statue outside the Hall of Justice and let her become a constant in this game's open world as a reminder. Han Solo her, she'll be back. As for the other League members, I never really bought their deaths to begin with. The fact that Brainiac turns into the Flash at the end always just kind of cemented that we were fighting clones or something to that effect this whole time. That being said, because of the unfortunate passing of Kevin Conroy, some feel his Batman should have had the heroic sacrifice that Wonder Woman had, and I understand that, but I don't think it's Batman's time. So I'll keep things as they are on that front. Next, the boss fights. They're very Destiny. It's chaotic throughout and then abrupt in the end. And since the game is no longer a live service, that won't be the case. Instead, they'll feel epic, personal, cinematic. Enemies won't just awkwardly perish upon getting a flurry of bullets. Throw in some QTEs, a little parrying, just make it feel a bit more like peak Arkham in terms of scale and creativity. And speaking of Arkham, leave the characters alone. Don't make Penguin some vendor for upgrades and resurrect Ivy as some child. Just let it be. Also, on a climax note, I'm not against having the game end on a cliffhanger per se. The fate of the heroes can be uncertain, but by God, let us kill Brainiac at least. It won't be a previous fight reskinned, it will be original and epic. And upon death, there won't be some live service kill 13 more pull. It will simply be what it is, which is a satisfying conclusion. Now, regarding the multiverse stuff, I don't know. I don't love it, but I'm not super against it either. Maybe after Brainiac's defeat, the Justice League is saved or restored, and the game ends with them witnessing the Arkhamverse collapse as reality folds onto itself in some stupid incursion or something to that effect, I don't know. That seems a decent enough prompt for my follow-up Justice League game. Wonder Woman gets resurrected, the League have to save reality, blah blah blah. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. The point is, these differences that I've listed alone could have been the distinction between these talented devs at Rocksteady having wasted all those years of development versus a quality product that would resonate with the core fan base. But greed corrupts, and when you milk gamers for coin by forcing half-assed live services into historically single-player spaces, this is what you get. A waste of all those years building what is under the chaos, between the cracks, beneath the greed, the foundation of a great game. This has been the Game Borrow, and thank you for watching.